Hello, everyone. Coming up, Haunted Mansion is the latest attraction to take a ride on that refurb train. We have more details on what's actually happening with Snow White's Scary Adventures with their update. Plus, Tom claims he went to the parks recently and can share experiences, but we'll have to find out if that's actually true. We have all that and more coming up from the Bob Varley studio in Orlando, Florida, and different areas of California. This is the Disneyland edition of the Diz Unplugged. This is episode 791 of the Diz Unplugged Disneyland edition. The Diz Unplugged is brought to you by DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com, experts at helping you plan the perfect vacation. Visit them on the web at www.DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. And also by Disboards.com. Join over 1 million Disney fans discussing their Disney vacation, the latest news, rumors, and so much more. Visit Disboards.com and join the discussion today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged Disneyland edition. I'm your host, Craig Williams, returning after a much-needed break from this terrible show. I'm joking. That was really rude of me to say. No, it's we obviously had Thanksgiving, and then we were supposed to be back with an episode last week, but unfortunately, Pete was under the weather, so we were banned from coming to the studio to record. So you had to make do with one of our awesome attraction reviews that we put out from when that we released, but we recorded it the last time we were out in California. I believe we did the Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, the whatever it's called, that attraction. So off to a swimming start here. Hey, joining me alongside in this endeavor, we've got back on the controls, my co-host for the show, Rhino Clavin.
Hello.
Hey, I know it feels so far away from you right now,
so
being separated.
Far away.
It's sad. But then joining us at the table, she wanted me to do a clever joke, but I think she forgot that she's already been on the marathon show, so it's no surprise that she's here in Orlando, Florida. And also you've posted on Instagram like 6 times that you're here.
True.
You've made it very known. But joining us not from an undisclosed beach location in California, we now have Morgan Lamone.
I'm at the other side of the table.
Yes, you are. So you're on this side of the screen. And then on the other side of the screen in Southern California, of course, we have Luella Loriola.
Hello, hello.
Hello. And then not in Southern California, but I mean like South Central California. I guess that would be kind of the best way to say it. It's not quite South in the middle, but not South Central LA. But joining us
straight out of Fresno.
Straight out of We have Tom Bell.
Hello, everyone.
We're going to have to use that from now on. Straight out of Fresno.
Straight out of Fresno.
I'm sure they have those shirts at the Walmart.
Tom, who do you identify most with?
What?
Seeing if you were in a gang. Disneyland gang's fine, too.
They're social clubs.
Sorry. Thank you.
Social clubs,
Thank
yes.
you. That's right. That's correct. But, hey,
you still need to make those vests right now.
Oh, I know. Oh, I'm going to make me a good vest for Disneyland. I just got to come up with a real clever name.
Gross.
You'll do that. You'll do that.
Yeah.
I will not be joining you, though. That's okay. That's fine. As long as you have someone with you, then it'll be fine. A social club it will be. But hey, everyone, welcome to this week's episode. Once again, I want to apologize, even though I kind of said it a little bit sarcastically there in the beginning. I want to apologize that we haven't had a new episode for you in a while. But again, like you said, we had our marathon show 2 weeks ago. So all shows were on hiatus right through that Thanksgiving week. But happy to say that if you tuned into the marathon show, then you saw hours and hours of entertainment, and you might have also taken part in helping the Diz raise close to $65,000 for Give Kids the World. So that number may fluctuate because we have a couple, some of the experiences. A lot of times with that, we offer also to the runner-up if they would like to still contribute their top donation that they were willing to do, that we would also add that onto the pile. But as of right now, I believe the number was just below $65,000. So
Pretty good.
Very good. Yes.
Very good.
And you know what? Even though we missed those couple weeks there, we've got 2 shows left until the end of the year, and we're gonna close them out with a bang. I feel like, or we won't. One or the other.
We will.
Thank you, Luella, for the positivity.
I'll ever be the cheerleader.
No, we need that. We need more of that in our lives. So, and I'm so happy you're able to join us again. It's been
Thank you for having me.
been very long. So, but you're always there in our hearts at the same time
Thank
too.
you.
So,
You'll be mine.
yes,
Into
yes.
the unknown.
You're just striking my Phil Collins love right there.
This is the musical episode.
We are getting off to a musical start, which is fine. It's dandy, but we do also have a lot of news to catch up on. Some old, some new-ish, and nothing too recent though. But that's okay. So,
Would you say you feel the news coming in the air tonight?
okay, we're gonna stop. we're done with Phil Collins for this episode. So we'll actually get to Phil Collins very soon, because I believe one of the videos that we'll have coming out while we are on our Christmas hiatus, Kylie and I did an attraction review of Tarzan's Treehouse.
Oh, it's
Yeah, with Phil Collins.
Yeah.
He came along with us just for the experience. So he sings Susu Studio the entire time. It's really entertaining. It made no
Susu
sense.
Studio.
We asked him to stop, and he's just like, Susu Studio. So that's all fine. It's good. But before we get launched into the show here, of course, I have to ask, does anyone have any housekeeping? Anything?
No.
No?
Yes, my housekeeping is Morgan came here without the cranberry julep.
That is a good update.
Yeah.
If you don't remember,
But I brought the button that I promised I would bring, and
Yeah.
Craig is wearing it right now.
I am.
So
I
got half of it.
one half of it, but yes, if you don't remember, last week on the Dis Unplugged Disneyland edition, we tasked Morgan to bring us back cranberry julep in a
I wanted you
in a
to
container.
I wanted you to do the flashback like Olaf though. So now you have to spin around and like it'll be me with Morgan without the julep. And sad.
Rhino, for the last time, you're not allowed to talk about Frozen 2 until you admit that it's a good
The
movie.
one part
You're
of the
not
movie I
allowed.
like. That's it.
You can talk about it when you admit it's a good movie, but until then you can't. But yeah, that's the only housekeeping here.
It's a fantastic movie.
Thank you,
I got the
Luella.
print right there.
I saw that. I really like that.
Be a shame
That's
if
when she's like
something
shooting
happened
the water, the ice in the ocean scene.
Yeah.
Is that what that is? That's really cool.
Listen. So I don't want to know Tom. I know Morgan's probably more on my side with it.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Oh,
And
absolutely.
Tom, where do you stand? It's already 3-1 in this. You pro
On
or
what?
anti-Frozen?
I haven't seen the second movie yet.
Oh,
Don't
That
worry.
is your homework.
You're not missing much.
so
Oh,
You need to step into the unknown.
I feel like Tom Bell's losing this week. First, he hasn't seen Frozen 2. Second, for the audio people out there, you can't see, but for the video people, yeah, Tom is in fact wearing a Rise of the Resistance annual pass holder shirt, despite the fact that the ride hasn't opened there
at
yet and won't for
Disneyland.
another couple weeks. So
What a tease.
I feel like
January 17th can't come soon enough. Okay.
Tom, you're jumping the gun on it.
yeah.
Jumping the gun. It's fine. I'll let it go right
we
now.
want to
It
know
was
the
in the
real
window and I couldn't
reason.
resist.
Oh, I see what you did there. Gregory.
I did not intend to do that, but it ended up happening. So
If we want to know the real reason why I moved out here, so I can go on Rise of the Resistance before, since it didn't come to Disneyland till January.
Yeah, I mean, I guess 3 of the 5 people in this show right now have been on Rise of the Resistance. So, I guess
Disneyland.
I guess it is that's kind of a news thing. So we can talk about that as we go into this. Disneylanders out there, you are gonna lose your minds over this attraction.
It's so good.
It
It's so
is
amazing.
So it's an emotional train ride.
Thank you all for working out the kinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the funny part is, just from friends that we have and such, it appears that Disneyland's has been working a lot better for a lot longer than ours, despite the fact that ours has opened first. So I feel bad for all those Disneylanders out there who probably could have shown up to Disneyland during the holiday season and had a ride that works perfectly. But ours at Walt Disney World is not going well. But that's when it does open on January 17th. It'll be interesting to see if y'all do the same exact thing that we did out here, and that is making use of the boarding pass system that was only necessary to enter the land for like 3 hours on day one, and that's it. And now it's being used for Rise of the Resistance. So
I like it. I think it's very organized, and like you can go and eat and do other things instead of like waiting in the line for 6 hours.
So for people
great.
who forget what boarding groups are, Morgan, what are they?
So you check into the app and you get a boarding group time, and then you kind of just keep checking the app, and it'll say like, oh, now boarding 20 through 40 or however big the range is, and then you just come back, check in. You have 2 hours to come back and check in, so it's like an extended fast pass with not quite predetermined times to come back.
Exactly. Yeah. So the boarding group system, I mean, it is. I'm glad that they are able to do something with it, and it is working very well here, despite the fact that the ride is not working very well, having lots of downtimes. But it's kind of fluctuated every day. I heard yesterday, I believe, from the day we're recording it, but yesterday, like it pretty much ran smoothly like the entire morning. Like the morning I went and got a boarding group number, I was in 33 and I didn't get to ride until about 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
What time did you get there?
I got there at like 6:15, 6:20, and then got in the park at 6:30 and got in very quickly, and just it jumped up that fast. But it was fine. But then I talked to a person who said that they were also in boarding group 33 the day or two after, and they got on the ride by 10 o'clock in the morning. So
that's nice.
It fluctuates that much based on whether or not the ride's actually working. So,
and is it true that they're not allowing you to get 2 boarding passes? So if you check in for one, you can't get another. Because I was able to do the 2 on Friday, and I didn't get to ride the first time till 12, and then the second time till 5 p.m. And I got there at 6 a.m. So that was a very long day. Yeah,
they put an end to that role. And again, I think
that's fair too.
100% it's fair. But this is all stuff that, while we're talking about Walt Disney World, this is going to be very relevant for all you Disneylanders because
Take notes.
It's worked so well. I feel like Walt Disney World watched what Disneyland did with their opening and took notes, and now I feel like they're going to reciprocate it completely, and everything that has worked so well out here for our opening of Rise of the Resistance is going to work out there too. So the best idea when that does open up is get to the park extremely early, and if they do the boarding groups, get in that boarding group as soon as you can and experience that ride, because it is everything that we hoped it would be and more. And Rhino cried.
I did.
Like a baby.
Yep.
I think they're going to do the boarding groups. They're probably really watching what's going on at Walt Disney World, and it's a little bit different here because of all the annual pass holders. It's opening up on a holiday weekend, so I think it'll be quite crazy. But hopefully it'll run smoothly. I haven't heard anything of how they're going to do it, but if they do it like they do at Walt Disney World, I think that'll be great. So we'll see. My son finally got an annual pass, my eldest, just for this. So
perfect timing.
Yeah.
It really is perfect timing, and it completely it completely changed Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It's now... I think definitely when we went out for the grand opening in Disneyland, our team that was there for it was very positive in terms of our outlook on it. We're also a bunch of Star Wars fans, so that makes a bigger difference. But it really is hard to believe now that anyone can walk in, and if they're able to experience Rise of the Resistance, Smuggler's Run, grab a drink in the cantina, maybe a Ronto wrap or anything in Docking Bay 7. It's hard to believe that they'd walk out of there being like, this is not worth it. Like,
is there a height requirement?
Yes.
Could I bring my little kid?
It's 40 inches.
Oh, 40 inches. Okay.
Yeah. So
I've been getting
what has it done to the lines at Smuggler's Run?
it hasn't really impacted it one way or another. What's the average time been for Smuggler's Run in Disneyland? If you had to
40,
ballpark
45, something like that?
That's pretty much what it is here too, and it's stayed at that weight limit. So
because you have the
wait
boarding
time.
passes and you can do whatever you want during that time.
Yeah.
I have a question. So a lot of people ask me on Instagram, how would you compare it? Like no spoilers, of course, but how would you compare Rise of the Resistance to Smuggler's Run? Because there's a lot of people that really like Smuggler's Run. I'd be curious to hear what y'all.
I'm gonna let Ryan know.
I think it's a completely different experience. I think it's just like Smuggler's Run is incredible because you do get to walk into the Millennium Falcon and get to pilot the Falcon on an adventure, so that's fun. I think there's a lot of factors up in the air, like what position you're going to be in, and then hoping that you get somebody that at least understands a little bit how to pilot the ship. Otherwise, that kind of can completely derail everything. But like Rise of the Resistance is just unlike anything you've ever done because it's a full and complete story from the second you step in. And then what's incredibly amazing about it is that I already feel like, especially at Disneyland, that the Galaxy's Edge there, you've left and gone somewhere else. And then to be able to then leave from that somewhere else and go somewhere else and come back is this whole other level where like you really do feel like you've traveled away.
Yeah.
And on top of that too, at least it's a little more consistent because you're not at the mercy of someone else controlling it, but you are a character in Rise of the Resistance. This story is fit for you when you walk in. Like this is your journey in Galaxy's Edge. So,
and it's tough too because Smuggler's Run, I feel like, is it's a cool ride. I've still had some of the most awkward experiences in my life being on it. The last time I rode, I just popped in single rider, and there was one other single rider person with me and then a family of 4. And the other lady who was on there, I apologize if you watch this show, but you didn't say hi to me, so I'm assuming you don't. She was straight up yelling at the family. Like, she was yelling directions at them. And, like, I understand if you're all friends, then why
you
not?
can all jokingly yell at each other and say,
to help each other. No, she was just yelling at them. Like the kid right at the start, he didn't go down to go under before you come back up. And so as soon as he hits the first thing, she's like, down, then you go up. You go down, and then you go up. And I'm like, jeez.
Oh,
yikes.
yeah.
The kid is probably like 8 years old. Give him a break.
Then he should know.
That's so sad.
Tom, you're not winning any points on today's show.
I
Jeez
think
Louise.
With Smuggler's Run, it's not much rewritability because you get used to everything and then it just becomes too easy if you're the pilot. But I feel like Rise of the Resistance, it's just
I think both of them.
everything.
I think both of them have insane rewritability. I like the idea of finding out the patterns of Smuggler's Run and needing the other person who's with you to also understand the same patterns. It's very mathematical in that sense. Where Rise of the Resistance it's basically a classic Disney attraction. Like the trend has been for these attractions lately, which has to be, if you're going to build these big open environments, you have to make sure that every bit of it 360 is completely detailed and it's no matter where you look, you're still in the story. And Rise of the Resistance did that, but using the trackless ride systems too, they're still able to swing you around so they control what you are supposed to see in the same way that the OmniMover system was developed for. That's why they wanted you to be on the OmniMovers, is so they can control exactly where you're looking. This still does the exact same thing, but it also, if you do want to look around, you're still going to have you're still going to feel immersed no matter where your eyes wander to. And it's like, I like that they're doing this. I'm not there yet, but they're really going full force on this ride system now. So we have Rise of the Resistance, I'm pretty sure what they're doing with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is also going to be the exact same ride system with everything. A little bit different setup considering it's in a railway before the cars break off and go their separate way, but still the same.
Spoiler alert.
They have said that like 19 times.
I think it's in the poster.
And then, like, also, it's the exact same ride system as Ratatouille, which we have here. And if for some reason they find a reason to bring it to Disneyland, I'm sure they will as well, too. Put it in Pixar Pier, why not? So they need a little Ratatouille back there.
They do.
But
Does it matter which row you sit, or is every seat a good view?
Great question, Luella.
I think you can sit front, back. I think your car kind of there are multiple experiences you can have within the attraction.
Oh, okay.
So even if you've ridden it, so it took me 3 times riding it before I experienced the other side of things. Or I was on like you could call it a left side one time and then a right side the other time. But
I wish the seats were a little more staggered because I was in the second row and there was a full-grown adults in front of me and I'm taller and I was kind of like, I missed one of the animatronics.
That's exactly what I was going to say. For the ride portion itself, if you are shorter, if you have kids, definitely try to be in the front row. And if you have very short kids who just meet the height requirement, make sure they're on either far end. Because
that's always my concern with my youngest is just so he could see.
Yeah, I would definitely on front row and either end. If you're in the middle, it's not a spoiler because they've shown the ride vehicles now many times. There's a droid right in the middle of the middle front of the ride vehicle. So probably would have been suited better in the back, like as elevated and looking around. Well, so I hit my microphone there because that would leave for a perfect view of the entire thing. But it's nice. If you're in the back row, like, even me, I'm in the same boat as Morgan. When I rode in the back row and had someone in front of me, it was blocking a lot. And I was still over top of them. So it's not a bad view. It's not like if you're in the back row for your first time, it'll ruin it. But if you're with kids and they want to be able to see, if you put them in the back row and there's an adult in front of them, forget about it. They're not seeing anything.
Forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it. But yeah, so I hope you guys are looking forward to Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, so looking forward.
It's going to be worth the wait.
Can't wait.
But let's talk about as Rise of the Resistance is opening up and all the crowds are drawn to that, there's going to be yet another attraction that will be down at Disneyland Park. And this time it's going to be Haunted Mansion. And not for its normal downtime that typically gets. This is for a slightly extended refurbishment. So normally Haunted Mansion holiday, when it comes to its end, it will close immediately after the holiday season, and then It's a Small World holiday will close after it's reopened back into Haunted Mansion. But this time, It's a Small World holiday will actually be closing first on January 7th, and then Haunted Mansion holiday won't close until January 21st. Whoa. But once it closes, it will become an extended refurbishment that could last into April, according to the hands of Tom Bell, and probably Disneyland as well, too. And probably like other people as well, too. But the Orange County Register, actually, in fact, if I don't say so myself. And Disneyland officials say that the ride will return refreshed, but that no updates are scheduled. Look for new paint plus other necessary repairs to mechanical systems and animatronics. So, with the last day being January 20th, 2020. So, do we trust that it's just going to be this little primp and priming? 2 months seems like a long time for.
Yeah, I think they may pull off a surprise or two.
Yeah. Have they ever pulled off a surprise? Yeah.
Can't think of anything.
I don't know.
Didn't they surprise adding, I mean, it's the Haunted Mansion or the holiday overlay, but didn't they add Sally without not telling anybody?
They added the Hatbox Ghost without telling anybody. That was like an overnight thing. They like popped in one night. I think it was the weekend of D23 or something like that. I could be completely wrong.
The Hatbox Ghost debuted. It was before the 60th anniversary of the park.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, with Sally.
No, I've ridden the ride without that in it, and I hadn't been there until 2015. And he wasn't there the first time I ever went on Haunted Mansion. And he like showed up overnight. I thought, I'll Google it.
Yes,
you talking?
it was
I'll
all
find out.
surrounding. It was all surrounding that same time. It was before it officially started, though, because I remember Tom went and got video of it, and then I came a couple months later, and then I was actually able to get video of it. So it was a process, but yeah, with Sally, that was one change, but they knew about Sally for a long time, because when the last time before Sally got debuted, I was in Disneyland in 2015 for Christmas, and I was on the Backstage Magic tour with Adventures by Disney, and they took us on a tour with an entertainment person to tell us about how they created the transformation and all of that, and how they do it every year. And he told us, he was like, next year if you come, you're going to see Sally. But then no one really reported. Well, no one knew. I guess our group did, and we just kind of shrugged it off, not thinking. And then next year, Sally was there.
That's awesome.
The Hatbox Ghost, he made his official re-debut. If you know the whole story, he was in the original version of it. But May 9th, 2015. So my first trip out was in March 2015. So I saw him on that first trip, and then I saw him the second time.
That was just a couple weeks before.
Then you went out in July of that year, I think.
No, that was the end of May.
Oh, okay.
Kicked off like the third week of May or something like that, and then ran a long time. But yeah, I would like to see. No, thank you for looking that up. Yeah. I appreciate it. So I thought it was actually like a month earlier than before the 60th started. But yeah, it seems weird to me though that it still does that, because Disneyland's always seems like it's in perfect condition. So maybe they just do need some little updates and stuff.
Are we worried that they're gonna redo the Hitchhiking Ghost at the very end?
No, I don't think. Disneyland people, would you allow Disney to make the Hitchhiking Ghost at the end into video screens?
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I'm trying to run through in my mind what would be acceptable to fans. Change-wise. The only thing, that's not necessarily the Hitchhiking Ghost, but like the 3 screens in the offload area. Maybe they could do something with those, where the ghost joins you in the car. I don't know. I mean,
I
would love a photo opportunity like they have at Walt Disney World. If they added that, I would love that.
Yeah, the hard part with the photo op there is, though, how do you link that? Like with Walt Disney World, it only works because you have your Magic Band, and you don't get your photo unless you have the Magic Band. But yeah, I mean, photo, why not? That would be fun, but don't. Yeah.
What if they added, when you're boarding the vehicle and then when there's Haunted Mansion Holiday, they have all of the characters and stuff in there. What if they added, I don't know, some more scenery or physical sets? I don't know, something. Because I love at Disney World the staircase room and all the never-ending staircases. I don't know where they could kind of add it or squeeze it in, but I would love something like that at Disneyland.
That would be cool. But yeah, I don't know where they would actually put that, but that would be cool. We'll have to just wait and see. So, like I said, it'll close on last day, January 20th, and then it will reopen sometime in April. And who knows, maybe longer, maybe shorter. We'll just have to wait and find out. So, moving along on the refurb train, as I eloquently put it, I should say. I don't want to put that on anyone else if that's not what you believe in. But we have more information on those updates that were coming to Snow White's Scary Adventures that I feel like we told you about back in October. It was November, but it feels like it was a long time. So according to Disney Parks blog, the Imagineers will be reimagining how the classic fairy tale is told, with some familiar elements and some all-new scenes, both with enhanced story details. New scenes include Snow White in the forest as she wakes up from her deep sleep, and a new ending that has Snow White reunited with her animal friends with a shimmering castle in the distance. They will have state-of-the-art audio and visual technology, including new music, updated updated LED black lighting, laser projections, and a new animation system. As well, the exterior will be updated with new details to match the recent updates to Sleeping Beauty Castle. And this will officially, you'll be able to take your last trip on January 6, 2020 before it is down. So the insane thing about this one is while we knew that they were going to do those updates that like we saw with Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan, it seems like this is going to be slightly more extensive.
I'm excited. Yeah. That sounds wonderful. Like it sounds like the actual fairy tale, not just like, let's scare children and have an awkward ending.
I know, that real abrupt ending. It's just like, wait a second, and we're done?
And it's like, oh, everything's okay now. There's a big storybook. And it's like, wait, how did we get to this point? The awkward transition.
I wrote it with Michael Bowling this weekend. We were trying to figure out how they were going to do it, what scenes they could take out or move around, trying to, get all the new storyline in. So it's going to be interesting how they pull it off.
Yeah, because I feel like there's some elements that you can't change. Like you can't change the first scene really with inside the dwarf's cottage.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the places where they could change the scenes are when you're riding through the forest.
That's the scariest part.
Exactly.
It is, but it's also the longest section of just darkness and not a lot happening. The queen pops out a couple times, but and where do you put that in? Because a lot of the changes have to happen to the end, clearly, with the deep sleep and then the fairy tale ending. But like with her being in front of with all her fairy tale animal friends and in front of the castle and stuff like that could easily just be slapped on a wall with some animated effects happening. So it's not like that needs to be a full embodied scene. It could be more like when you leave the last scene in Pinocchio having just the blue fairy on the wall, plastered up on the wall. So
she's plastered.
Yeah, just a little bit. She's a fairy.
Yeah.
That's what happens with that. But it's very interesting in general because to tie it in a way with Disney Plus, the last episode of the Imagineering story as of the time that we're recording this, it started focusing on Disneyland right around Disneyland and other parks, but with Disneyland right around the time where California Adventure got revitalized, as well as going into some of the updates that they made with like Alice in Wonderland and them reimagining attractions. And there's some funny bits with Peter Pan, how apparently like it flooded and some ducks swam in. So, but it was kind of interesting that like right as this is about to happen, that kind of got put out promotionally in a way too, if almost as like a reassurance that yes, we're going to take care of this thing. But it could be. I'm excited about like all the updated technology in it and projections and stuff, but.
And how they do it for Snow White and stuff.
I don't want them to touch Snow White that much. I like Snow White a lot how it is. So
I liked Alice before, but when I saw the updates, I loved Alice. So I think they'll do it justice. And I think it's time to kind of update that ride.
Okay. I trust you. I trust you on that.
Yeah.
So I respect your opinion, Luella. And Rhino's got all the hot takes on it.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It is scary.
Rhino, what's your thoughts on Snow White?
She's scary.
Where does she rank in the princesses for you? Is she before Anna and Elsa?
Yeah, I think everyone is above them. Is that what you mean? Yeah.
I had to ask.
I don't know if I said this in the last show, but the Tokyo version of Snow White's Scary Adventure is a lot scarier. So, Rhino, you should go check that one out.
Just so we're clear, too, Anna is above Elsa.
Fantastic. But where does she rank versus Cinderella? Snow White, that is.
Cinderella. Cinderella versus Snow White. See, I feel like smart, yeah. Cinderella, at least she had this hardship, and she came out of poverty that was cast upon her in an unfair way. Snow White was kind of just like, oh no, I gotta get out of here before my mom murders me.
So Cinderella's the
is it
working
time for
girl.
a princess bracket show?
Cinderella is.
Princess Bracket Show.
Princess
Yeah.
Bracket.
Hello, Cinderella, night and day, Cinderella.
I
Do
was
the
literally
dishes, do
watching
the
it.
laundry. But I think I put Cinderella pretty high above Snow White.
Okay.
Snow White's like in the movie for 3 minutes. I mean,
Snow White is she's not a bright girl. She kind of went to a house full of 7 strangers and was like, please, 7 men, I'll stay in this bed.
She thought they were little children.
Well, and then she's like, yes, scary lady in woods dressed in cloak with dirty hands. I'll eat this piece of disgusting fruit from you. She kind of got maybe her decisions led her to the path where she fell asleep, you know?
Well, she is
That's
like
her belief.
13 in her defense, but still, yeah, not the brightest. She needed a mother to raise her, is what it is.
Well, now that this has gone off the rails, why don't we move on to our next news story, and that is that several Disneyland After Dark events are planned for early 2020. So Disneyland After Dark is returning. These, of course, are hard ticket parties that have happened occasionally in the past. For the past couple of years, from like the one that was a throwback to the 50s at Disneyland, to the 90s at Disneyland, to Star Wars overtaking everything, to Marvel at Disney California Adventure. They've run the gamut on it, and there's going to be a slew of new ones coming out. So the first one that's happening is 80s Night. Oh yeah, that's happening January 29th, 2020 at Disneyland Park. Stroll down memory lane during this throwback bash packed with totally tubular fun.
The copy on this.
Yeah, the copy. Oh, man. Look for a flashback to Videopolis, the 80s dance party to take over Fantasyland Theater, along with throwback-style encounters with classic Disney friends. Look for themed decor, food, beverages, and merchandise. And later, the awesome After Dark fireworks to the max will light up the sky. Parties 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., and ticketed guests can enter as early as 6 o'clock. So,
Was the 80s a ripe time for Disney?
I'll let the people who were alive for
Yeah,
that
yes,
say.
I was in high school. Come on.
Videopolis was a hot place to be back in the day. So for them to
locals,
bring
right?
back, for locals, for them to bring back Videopolis, for all the locals around here who went to Videopolis, that's really exciting. So it was. I mean, all the teens used to go there. Oh, geez, it was awesome.
So it was kind of like the what was it over in DCA, the Mad Tea Party?
Yes,
It
it's
was
kind of
kinda
like that. Although I think Mad Tea
Without
Party wasn't
alcohol.
banned. Yeah, without alcohol.
Yeah.
Videopolis was really geared towards teens.
Yeah.
Rhino believes
And it was
that
a DJ.
Rhino believes that they brought in nose candy to solve that problem.
The 80s. Yeah, pixie sticks. It's Disney. It was all pixie sticks. They were just being very well themed. I do know our friend Heidi is very excited for that Videopolis because she spoke about it quite a bit online. So that's why I'm like,
Yeah,
it sounded cool from the description. So.
Yeah, the 90s one that they did would have appealed a little bit more to me, but I'd
For
be
sure,
interested in
for sure.
80s Night.
Well, I was just thinking, like, okay, 90s night, we got, like, Max in his Powerline costume, but, like, I was trying to think, what would the 80s sort of equivalent of this be? Like,
It
when
was
did
honestly the
DuckTales,
decade,
right?
Well, kind of at the end. That was like 87 and on.
Yeah.
But like the 80s was the decade of Minnie Mouse being an icon. So, and Mouser size, stuff like that. And there's
Mouser size, yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
There's a
that's
lot of
it.
80s was not a great time. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Just from me looking back at it, like when I see stuff from the 80s, a lot of times it's a little bit cringy, but
There's not like
fun.
the 90s brought in this flood of like animated Disney shows, so you had like Aladdin, I know like Gummy Bears and some DuckTales and some of that started at the tail end of the 80s, but actually I'm not even positive.
Aladdin
Gummy Bears
was 90.
No. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the show, like, so when they did the 90s one, all you can think about is like the 90s afternoon. So you had like Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, Rescue Rangers, all that sort of stuff. And like, there wasn't really a culture of that during the 80s,
Yep.
I guess,
And there wasn't a lot of good, like, theatrical releases either.
Right.
Before Mermaid came out. So yeah.
And Mermaid's like 89.
Like right on the very end.
Yeah, this was definitely watch Waking Sleeping Beauty to understand the.
It's going to be
the place where the company was in the 80s specifically and turning around. So
just a Black Cauldron themed party then.
There would be people out there.
I think the draw.
Oh no!
Oh no!
No, we don't know what the draw
Videopolis.
is.
Yeah. Oh, Videopolis. Okay.
For the locals, it's Videopolis. Yeah.
The suspense.
Videopolis. That's the big draw. And you're right. They had to have Videopolis to have people to go to Disneyland.
Yeah.
I mean, there just really wasn't a big draw to go.
Very cool.
So,
yeah, I'd be excited to see what people think of that. Maybe Tom Bell will be at that one. We don't know yet. We've got to figure out those details. Next one, I believe, is returning, or at least in a kind of a way, is Sweethearts Night, based around the Valentine's time frame from February. This is February 12th and 13th at Disneyland. The happiest place on earth will once again transform into the most romantic with an extra pinch of pixie dust. So the returning event features love song themed dance parties plus a glitzy royal ball. Take pictures with your favorite Disney couples, including Cinderella and Prince Charming, Aladdin and Jasmine, Mickey and Minnie, Anna and Elsa. I made that one up.
Which I was like,
themed decor, food, beverages, and merch will be available.
Kind of family.
Plus a fireworks extravaganza. Again, same exact details, 9 to 1 a.m. Enter at 6 o'clock. So
I know a lot of people that went there this past year, the year before, and the idea of it is really cute, but they didn't get to. There was not very good reviews about it, to my knowledge.
No.
They said like you couldn't do as much. There wasn't much to do, I should say.
It's for kissing. That's what it's for kissing.
Okay. Fantastic. The next one, which will probably be popular, I don't know, maybe it will, maybe it won't. It'd be popular with me. On March 5th, 2020, it's Pixar Night. Spend an exciting night celebrating some of the world's best loved stories and characters from Pixar Animation Studios. Of course, this is happening over at Disney California Adventure, making sense where it should be. There will be 3 different Pixar-themed dance parties to meet your favorite characters at. Themed decor, food, beverages, and merch will be available, of course, but this one is from 8 to 12, and you can enter as early as 5 o'clock. So
this one sounds like they're going to take out the hits of the Halloween party and bring it back. The villains one, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're going to put the stages back up with the experiences, have them chat, show the villains.
Oh, gotcha.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like taking out the best of the Halloween party and bringing it back because I think it was a hit.
I feel like maybe the next one would be a little bit more suited to that, though.
For the Pixar one, I just want to know if Merida's going to be there because I was an annual pass holder for like 3 years and I maybe saw her 5 times total.
You can see Merida still like all the time at
Not
Walt Disney World.
Not Disneyland though.
Well,
she's very rare. I know. I'll go visit her here. I haven't got to her yet. I like visiting Merida.
You don't have the Scottish population out in California.
Yeah. You just don't have the demand.
Yeah.
Like we do. We had to add those haggis treats to the menu.
They burn too easily. But Rhino, going in with what you said, which I think would fit in exactly what you said, Villains Night is on April 30th.
What was the night you just said?
Pixar Night.
Oh, I'm sorry. In my brain, I heard Villains Night. So because I was like, oh, California Adventure, you're talking about Villains Night.
Maybe they'll put them up on stage.
Put that strawberry bear out there that's mean to everyone. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Where's your kid now?
Sheriff?
Day guess.
Okay, unleash your inner villain at a deliciously sinister soiree bursting with Disney's most mischievous misfits. The new Villains Cabaret will include a cast of Disney villains singing and dancing their way through a review. Look for themed dance parties throughout the park and chances to meet Disney villains and their henchmen with themed decor, food, beverages, and merch being available. The party is 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Guests can enter as early as 6 o'clock, and tickets for all the events are $109 per person, do not include parking. And they're already on sale. Sorry, I apologize for annual pass holders and the general public. So I'm not sure if any of them are sold out as of this point, but if you're interested, no, they're not, Tom. No.
I don't think so now.
Fair enough.
What if we'll see Villainous return for the Villains party?
I want to say no.
Cringe.
So I want to say no. They'll keep that for Halloween, but that's it.
Yes. I hope it's a no.
Yeah. So Good stuff. So I'm
Sounds
going to skip the
fun,
last
yeah.
story. I'm going to skip the last story about the Disneyland offering the $1 off a Dole Whip cup with the purchase of a glass Tiki
$17.99,
cup.
Craig. $17.99 for that mug.
Yeah. Well, you already said it now. So if you're going to Disneyland through January 6th or while supplies last, you can buy one of the old glasses that they used to use for hippopotami ties way, way back in the day. Just clear glass. And if you buy that for $17.99, then you can then go to Tropical Hideaway and get $1 off a classic Dole Whip, which makes no sense to me. You're spending $17 to take $1 off a dessert. Clearly, they just have an overstock of these mugs that they're finally ready to get rid of and thinking that maybe this will be a way, but just buy 17 Dole Whips instead. And you're still going to come out a lot happier.
And then I'd be nervous bringing around a glass mug that if you just didn't get it that day.
Yeah, you just, literally like everything, anywhere you go to that's like by a pool. Really, you can't bring glass bottles there. It's like, we don't trust people with glass. So what's Disneyland saying? Come on, walk around with your big glass goblet full of Dole Whip. It's going to go well. It's going to be fine.
And I don't know that it's like, I think it's a one-time discount. I don't think you can like keep coming back.
If it's one time, shame. Shame. Just straight shame. Shame on them. But that's cool. That's cool. That's it for the news. Tom, Luella, why don't you run us up? Tom has a list of stuff, Luella, as Tom talks about it. If you want to jump in on any of them with your thoughts, feel free to.
Sure, yeah.
Tom?
I'll just run through. I don't know how we're doing on time, but I'll run through real quick because I know you guys got another show to do.
Yeah.
They eventually.
There. Huh? You're good, Tom. Go ahead.
Okay. So they're still fine-tuning all the signage and stuff at the Mickey and Friends and the Pixar Pals parking structures. Their new signage is in on Mickey and Friends side to match the Pixar Pals, and they also unveiled a new Mickey big huge stone ball with ears on it to match the Pixar ball on the other side.
Can you push it?
Have you seen that? Luella?
Yeah, and also they opened up the other entrance into the parking lot on.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, because we went through there yesterday.
I'm so used to coming in the other side. They still have not finished the elevator, so it looks like that should be soon, though. So the second elevator on Mickey and Friends should be open soon.
Wait, Luella, the entrance from the Pixar Pal side?
Yes.
Into the parking garage? That's been open for a while.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So we found it accidentally.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not a lot of people
but it's
go
not
there.
crowded. So there's, if you miss the bridge and you miss the parking, you can go that way too.
Took a walk through downtown Disney. The Asian Streets Eats that was supposed to open for holidays is still not open yet. It's like a trailer that they pulled in front of Rainforest Cafe and put siding on the side of.
Yeah, it's very awkwardly sitting in front of Rainforest Cafe. Very awkwardly.
With the wheels placed underneath the front of it. So I don't know what's going on there.
I get the idea of like a food truck, and that's very
food wagon.
Yeah.
It's a food wagon, and it's like, what's taking so long? Luella, I have to ask, what do you think of the Let It Glow trees in downtown Disney?
I don't mind it because I like change all the time. I don't. I like bright
They're
colors.
so awful.
I know, but it's different. It's bright. My kids like it, so.
Okay. All right.
It looks like they went to Michael's and went to the sales section and were like, this will do.
Sales section from the 1950s.
Yeah.
We have an overstock of orange and blue trees that
it's kind of like they just need the Charlie Brown Christmas tree to kind of, like. Yeah, it's all commercial, but it's okay because I actually like how it's different. Like, hopefully next year it'll be different,
Maybe.
And Craig, as Craig alluded to in the parks, there is Rise of the Resistance merchandise, even though Rise of the Resistance isn't open yet. I'm not sure what you guys have on your end, but we got shirts, hats, I think some tumblers that all have the Rise of the Resistance logos. And the weird thing is they're also available at California Adventure.
Well, what's funny is I'm just realizing now that I didn't see a single piece of merchandise for Rise of the Resistance while we were doing our meeting.
It was all over, though.
No, but I'm sure because, the whole thing is that they don't sell anything like that in the land that's like with the name and the logo on it. So you wouldn't see it in the land. And I was really only paying attention to stuff in the land. And then I know it was on like a table and stuff for us to see. But I was just thinking, I was like, oh, yeah, I wasn't bombarded with that. Now here you are, Tom.
What's weird is they've always sold merchandise at the carts in front in the Resistance Forest that have the Rise of the Resistance, a subtle Rise of the Resistance logo on them.
Yeah.
Since like the park opened, they've had like shirts and hats that say Rise of the Resistance, which is really weird.
Well, I know there's a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
said Resistance on it because that you're part of the Resistance.
Yeah,
I know that.
But no, Tom is right because I always there's this one hat that I always look at every single time I go. It's green and it's kind of like
Another
worn
hat?
and torn. Yeah, I like my hats, and every single time I go to look at it, and then it just says "Rise of the Resistance" on the front, and I'm like, a person in the Resistance would not wear this.
Yeah.
It's literally, you're in the Resistance. You don't want to advertise that you're part of the Resistance. The First Order wants them to know, but the Resistance is covert. It's undercover. What's going on?
Yeah.
I digress on that.
Just the worst rebel fighter there ever was that's like, what base? I don't know what you're talking about.
Tom, what's the deal with this recycled shirt for $175?
Good God.
Oh, I didn't. I don't know. We Michael and I were walking through the shops at Main Street, and we both picked up on the shirts, black polo with a red collar, little Mickey on it. We're like looking at the sizes. They didn't have our size, so we asked the lady, "Do you have other sizes in back?" She's like, "It's 175." We're like, "Thank you very much. We're leaving."
Thanks, but no thanks.
Why is Mickey so angry? He's like looking down at his pants like, I'm upset that all of a sudden that my butt's bigger in the front than it is the back.
This front
But anyway, it's a $175 shirt, and they only had like smalls and mediums. So, I finally got a chance to see Showdown. I'm just gonna
Dueling
keep going.
pianos, huh? Yeah.
A dueling piano Showdown at the Golden Horseshoe. Wasn't exactly what I was expecting because the whole gimmick of this was it's supposed to be dueling pianos and crowd interaction, but at least in the show I saw, they had the crowd shout out their favorite songs, and they just played what they wanted to anyway, what they had already prepared.
Because they can't play Angry Young Man and Piano
exactly.
Man.
They can't they don't have the rights to the whole catalog of the Beatles.
Tom, it's Billy Joel.
Yeah, I
It's
was like,
Billy Joel.
what?
Come on, Tom. The strike four.
But the surprising thing is it was a long show. It was like 30 minutes, which seems kind of long. Have you seen it, Luella?
Excessive.
No, I haven't
Okay.
seen that. Yeah.
It's two piano players. One comes out first, plays for a while, then the other comes out. They play together, and then the first one leaves and the second one plays. Lots of fun Disney songs. Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, Merry on Birthday. One of them even does like a Star Wars medley. So
perfect
all
for
your favorite Disney
Frontierland.
songs. Some classical piano.
Strong
songs,
theming right there.
Yeah, the theming at its best. Ragtime versions. I'm okay with ragtime on Main Street, but for some reason I'm not in Frontierland.
You should be singing "Oh Susanna," and I don't know what's the other one. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. That's all I'm giving you.
You got it there. So then I guess the last kind of final bit of this, Tom, Tom and Luella, what do you both think about the new Tomorrowland entrance? You like it?
Yeah, it's more space. It's
You hesitate.
I think it's more space.
I like the concept art, what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
They've got to figure out what to do with that big electrical box that's in the middle of the grass right now.
Yeah.
It used to be buried in a rock, so I think that's the holdup. But yeah, it's gonna be nice.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nice. They need to fix the land. That's what they need to do.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that
lipstick
would
on
also
a pig,
work.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is so upset when that concept art came out in the Astro Orbiter was still there in the middle. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's clearly it would have went away when Astro Orbiter was down for that long time if they were going to do anything with it. But yeah, the current state of it, I mean, it does look nice, open and airy. And then with what the concept art showed for the updated entrance, I feel like, it's on its way. Maybe in the next 10 years. It's a 10-year plan right now with Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
They're waiting for the 75th anniversary.
Yeah. Probably a good call. But get it done by then.
Yeah.
No more, no later. Tom, anything else?
Right.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Luella, anything else to mention?
Well, they are having that one day at Disney signing.
Oh.
December 14th. You can go to the Disneyana Park Shop or Disneyland Park from 10 to 12, or at Wonderground Gallery in downtown Disney from 4 to 6. So the book looks nice. And I think they're having some signings there at Walt Disney World, but they're having here at Disneyland too. If you in the parks, you can come by and get a signing and get the book.
Yeah, very interesting. So I won't share any more thoughts on that. I watched it.
Oh,
I watched it.
I don't think I'm going to enjoy it.
they're really
thoughts.
pushing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get why. I really understand why, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like it all comes back to Bob Iger and it shouldn't. It's not about him. It is about the people who work there. But it starts with Bob Iger, and they find a way to make it always be about Bob Iger in between. And he's done great things, but it was a chance to showcase everyone in the company, from the biggest roles to the smallest,
To the hidden roles,
And it started out with the hour documentary, and then they will release shorts, I believe 52 in total, that from all the things they shot on that one day at Disney. But we're going to have to wait a while. As for the main show, the thing that most people will watch is the one standalone documentary. It is what it is, but it's neither here nor there. So anything else, Tom, or was that it for you?
That's it. That's good.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you both for joining me on this lovely, lovely day, and thank you for all the people in the room for joining me as well too. So that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Disneyland edition of the Diz Unplugged. We do hope you enjoyed it, and we will be back with you next week, I believe, if I have my notes correct, for the final episode of the year. But as always, get on YouTube and follow along with us, so that way you can see the rest of the ride reviews and stuff that we have coming out for you over the next couple weeks. So it's a lot of good stuff. So that's now officially time to quit this. I'm not quitting. We're going to quit this episode. We're going to finish this episode. So we'll see you again next week. But until then, remember what Tom Bell always said: Disneyland is more magical when you ride Snow White's Scary Adventures 3 times.